not make these handbag buying mistakes. Listen, I know we get excited and you want to buy your next handbag, but sometimes you end up regretting that purchase. And whether it's your first time buying a luxury handbag, maybe it's your 10th or 12th or who knows how many, sometimes we end up regretting that purchase and oh, is it painful. So in today's video, I'm going to share with you the questions that I ask myself before making any designer handbag purchase in hopes that it helps you avoid any shopping mistakes. Make sure you watch this video to the end because the last tip is definitely the most important. But let's get started with the first question, and that is if it's a timeless and classic design. It may not be important to you, but to me it is. I really am looking for handbags that have classic silhouettes, very timeless designs, something that I'm going to be using and wearing for many, many years to come. I'm not one to be necessarily drawn to things that are exceptionally trendy or they're going to go out of style right away. I'm always looking for something a little bit more timeless in both in colors and its silhouette and even the materials that are used in the handbag. If at least that part is a yes, then I will move on to the next question. This next one is also really important, and that is to make sure that it matches a lot of things in your wardrobe. I think it's nice to have like a fun bag. I'm not saying don't have a fun bag. Obviously, every handbag's not going to get as much use as the other. I use my crossbody significantly more than like my dressier handbags, but there's definitely a need for those too. What I really mean is if the color is something that's going to be integrated into your wardrobe well. I love a bright red handbag. I think that bright red is beautiful and it's fun and it's like a great pop of color. Now for my particular wardrobe, I'm not even sure when I would wear that. Like maybe with a black dress. I just don't know that it suits my color palette and my wardrobe. I think these fun colors can be really tempting. Like there's something exotic about them. They draw you in, but you need to ask yourself, is this something that I'm really gonna wear that often? Is it gonna go with the color palette that's in my wardrobe? Is it gonna like mix and match easily with what I already have? And if it's not, then for me anyways, that's a no. The next question I ask myself, which is probably one of the bigger ones and the most important ones for me anyway on this list, is if this bag fills a need for something I don't already have. Some basic handbag categories you might want to cover is having a tote, having a crossbody, maybe having a satchel or a top handle of sort, and having either like a clutch or a wallet on chain, something elegant that you can wear day to night. I think once you have these categories covered, you can start experimenting and expanding into different colors, different textures, different materials, having a little bit more fun with it. But if I already have 10 crossbody bags, but I don't have a wallet on chain, maybe I should buy a wallet on chain versus yet another crossbody bag, even if I'm going to use that crossbody a little bit more than the wallet on chain that I'm only going to use for a nice event. This is a really big one for me. Like I said, you don't end up with too much of the same thing. I already had a tote, but I didn't have a beach bag or like a travel tote that was really large. It's when I bought my Saint Laurent tote. I have had a lot of crossbodies, but I didn't have a shoulder bag. So I got the Saint Laurent Lulu and it filled that need. Right now I'm wanting to update my wallet on chain. I have some elegant like wedding-like bags, but they're a little older. So I know that that's something that I'm currently shopping for and needing is like a new wallet on chain to kind of fill that need. When you're out shopping, just ask yourself, is this something I already have? Like, do I really need another black crossbody bag, or maybe instead I should be looking for a tote? The next question I like to ask myself is if it's a good investment. This can be tricky. It's like hard to know if it's a good investment, right? Like I'm not a fortune teller. I don't have a crystal ball or whatever. Like I don't really know for sure. One way that I can kind of guess is if it's been around for a while. I'm not one to go shopping like the minute something goes out. So I want to wait a few seasons to see whether or not it has staying power, to see whether or not it's a good investment, because I don't want to buy a bag that 6 months later is discontinued. So I'm willing to wait and make sure that it stay around. The Chanel 19 is one bag that comes to mind. When this bag came out, I instantly loved it. I just thought it was absolutely gorgeous. I really wanted to get my hands on one. I resisted getting it right away because I knew if I got it right away and then it was just like a fad and it was trend that I would end up regretting it. Now in hindsight, I kind of wish I had gotten it because now it's gotten way too expensive. But in any case, at least I knew a season later, a year later, I had already known this was a bag that was going to stick around. I consider it definitely a good investment, but I wouldn't have known that if I had purchased it right away. There was not really, you kind of had to wait and see. Another good reason to wait and see is because then you're making sure that you're not buying something that's overly trendy. I know I kind of touched on this when I mentioned looking for classic styles, but the problem with, bags that are overly trendy is that they're very dated. Now, for example, like denim handbags, they're really cute and fun. I'm not saying that they're not, but remember when they were around the first time, like in the 80s, and then in 20 years from now, we're going to remember that they're around now. And it's not something that you're going to be able to use as often. It's just not going to have the staying power. You're not going to be able to use it as often because it's more recognizable. Not saying not to buy this. If you love it, by all means, get the bag and have fun with it right now. That that's what they're for. Right? And like for me and for myself, I do try and kind of stay away from overly trendy bags. This last one is probably the most important question of all. Really the deciding factor is if I haven't stopped thinking about it in months. Like if I can't stop thinking about it, if I've gone down the rabbit hole and watched like every YouTube video review, if I know all the pros and cons, if I know everything about this handbag, if I know find it, and even if it possibly is going to go on sale, like I cannot stop thinking about it, then I know it needs to come home with me. I know at some point be added to the shopping list and that it is meant to be. I know that impulse purchases can be fun. I mean, I even have bought impulse purchase bags before in the past, but for the most part, I try to be a little bit more reasonable with what I'm buying, and I only want to get it if I really, really can't stop thinking about it. I really hope this was helpful and just some things to keep in mind when you're shopping for luxury handbags. That way you don't end up feeling like maybe you made a mistake or maybe wasted some money. So if this was helpful to you, definitely let me know in the comments below, and also share any questions that you might ask yourself before making these kinds of purchases. Up next, I'm going to link some more designer handbag videos for you, so I will see you over there. Bye.